Do we have to do an intro? What's going on? How we gotta do
Ladies and gentlemen,
it? Oh God.
guys, guys. Oh, wait, I got so close to the microphone, so I can introduce you like it's an ASMR video. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, so
Our entire friendship is about to be exposed in this whole episode. People want to see how stupid we are.
did you hear that,
They
everybody?
will see how
Our
stupid we are on a regular
entire
basis.
friendship. Let me expand on what you just said, Cameron Rogers. He said our entire friendship is about to be exposed on this episode of the Mirage podcast. And the reason he said that is because upon meeting one another, Cameron presented me with an incredible opportunity. I'll tell you more about that later. But he is the creative director of a project in Philadelphia called Stoop Sounds Sessions. Why he thought I was good enough of an interviewer to be the host of that show, I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. Maybe he'll tell me. Look, I pointed over here again. Darn it.
Oh, they about to
Maybe
find
he'll
out.
tell me.
They're about to
Listen,
find out what.
the reason our
My bad.
entire friendship is about to be exposed is because since that creative and professional opportunity that he's presented me with, we have built a solid friendship. It's been so fun and so rewarding to just get to know you better and better on a more personal level. I really pride myself in being a trustworthy person, but then also getting to know you. I realized that you deserve, my trust and my loyalty. And I slowly but surely learned how great of a guy you are, how well-rounded you are, how beautiful your spirit is. And I would be remiss if I did not be a good friend to you. And in turn, your friendship has been wonderful as well. So this is a very special episode, Cameron
Thank you.
Rogers. You're more than welcome. Cameron Rogers, a Philadelphia native, an amazing, talented, and intelligent young man who's currently pursuing his Bachelor's of Science at University of the Arts. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That deserves like a ooh, 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 because you know how we feel
Yeah,
about
it's
you
it's a
arts in
great
this
program.
family. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to do the whoop whoop right now after I just got done a week full of finals, so I'm kind of I'm kind of on a like yeah, forget everything that I just did.
Yes, you're like school? What school? College
Yeah,
where?
I'm
Who's
like
that?
school what? What? Yeah, but
You
no,
know
it's a
what?
it's a great program though.
Yes, yes. And I'm sure everyone remembers the unforgettable Robbie, my little brother. And, he came on and talked about his
Yeah.
experience at UArts, also in the music program, but two different lanes. You are there for music, business, entrepreneurship, and technology, and he is there for music and education. But either
Hmm.
way, I know that the program is well known for a reason. It has the reputation that it does for a reason. And it's because of
Yeah,
people like you, Cam, because you see, you being the
there we
one
go.
that's going through the program, it's your work, it's your grades that give the program the reputation that it has, because you then come out of that program being great at every single thing you do.
This is, are you really gonna do this to me? Oh God. All right. Well, for one, I went in as a jazz major, so I will make that
Mm,
clear. I didn't go in as a business major. I went as a jazz major, and actually, I think they had recommended that I do the music education program. Same thing Robbie is doing. One
mm-hmm,
of my teachers was like, "You should look into this. This is like, something that you may be, interested in."
mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I just got to a point where I was like, I don't want to necessarily play drums in school every day. And I started just looking around, seeing what else I'd be interested in, and then there
Yeah,
comes the
yeah.
MBAT program, and here we are.
Right. That's huge because as a
Hmm.
musician and as an artist, what do you have to say to that effect when it comes to taking what is your passion, your creative passion, and then when it begins to feel like work? You had the discernment
Hmm.
to avoid that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's one of those situations that I feel like every creative faces that at some point in time,
Mm,
because you get to a point where you're constantly doing it, right? And
hmm.
then you also get to a point where people start just offering money. You know what I mean? The first time I made money from playing drums, somebody was like, "How much do you charge?" And I was like, "What? Excuse me?" And I think I said something random like $77 or something weird, and they sent me $77 for whatever gig I just did, right? And then that opens the door. That's like, "Oh, okay, cool. I can do this full time. I can make money. I don't need a regular job. This is dope." At the time, I'm a teenager. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is a great thing to do, right?"
Right.
But then after a while, you start depending on it, and it's not the same. You can't. you can't necessarily go into it now of, okay, I'm just go play whatever I want. I'm just gonna go have fun. Oh, I want to play this song, or oh, I want to play for this artist. It works like that up to a certain point, and
Right.
then it gets to that situation where you're actually working, and now you're taking gigs not because it's fun. You're taking gigs because you need this money right here. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It just wasn't something I felt like I wanted to do, and I was extremely nervous about losing my passion for
Mm.
drumming. I
Mm-hmm.
was extremely nervous about that. So looking back on it now, I feel like it was a great decision. I don't regret it at all. I
Right.
don't regret it at all. It was a great decision.
It was a very smart decision. Very smart, because now the love and the
Mm,
passion that you have for it is still there. You know, you didn't take any turns and, like you said, risk losing that passion. That would have been terrible. Been there, totally been there. I get it. Um,
mhm.
so you mentioned your teenage years. There's so much, like I said in our intro. I'm really thinking about doing the damn intro again. But anyway, like I said in the intro, we have a solid friendship now that has been established,
Mhm.
because it was very clear how wonderful of a person you are overall. In working on Stoop Sound sessions, which we'll talk about more later, I had the privilege of meeting a lot of your family because the sessions are recorded in Philadelphia, in your neighborhood, on your stoop, because that is exactly, the type of genuineness, the type of raw, authentic imagery that you wanted for Stoop Sound sessions. You wanted Philadelphia to be represented as authentically as possible. So here we are on the stoop of your house, and your grandmother, unforgettable. I love that woman. Please tell her I said hello. She comes out and she's just like, "How you doing? I'm grandma." I was like, "You who? Looking like an aunt,
Yep.
looking like somebody's sister. You are not a grandma." She was like, "Ain't nothing but God." I said, "Oh, we're not about to." Like, we almost had a whole praise break in your driveway. It was just
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
it was so heartwarming, and it's a testament to the type of person you are, that's the type of energy that you are not only raised by and surrounded by, but you're infusing that type of energy into all of your creative or entrepreneurial endeavors. So again, we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Absolutely.
But I'm
Yeah.
excited because this interview is here because I want our audience to see and to hear how great you are, but also it's just our friendship like being recorded. It's all of our 3-hour FaceTime calls, just going on to
Right, it's
Spotify,
like every
Google,
conversation we've had.
Apple. Yeah. Yep. So you mentioned your teenage years, and that inspires me to
Mhm.
want to rewind and go pretty far backwards. I'm glad I just brought your grandmother up just now, because I'd love to know about family morals and values and anything that immediately comes to mind when you think about the way you're wired and some of the people and the relationships that you saw growing up that influenced you to be wired that way.
You're so good
I'm
at this,
sorry. I'm
Emily.
sorry.
You're
The
amazing. Go ahead.
video broke up. I have no idea what you said just now. What was that?
It's such a liar.
I'm
It's
so
fine.
ugly. That's
But
what you said? Dang, that hurts my feelings.
like,
Hold on, freeze.
I
I'm a
pretty
little
much
upset.
say
No,
a lot of
here's
these
what we're not
podcasts.
going to do. We're not about to talk about your grandfathers without taking a sip. I'm sorry. We should have done this earlier, but it's never too
I've
late.
been waiting to take a sip of this for the last 30 minutes.
So let me
Are you ready?
explain to anyone watching and listening. Do I have to like do something different on YouTube when I upload now just because we poured alcohol?
Oh,
I feel
right.
like there's
I
like
don't
a
know.
setting or something I have to choose that says like this is not made for children. So
Yeah, you automatically have to do that though anyway, even if there's
right,
nothing
true,
to,
true.
yeah,
But what I
yeah.
want to say to people is like the friendship is so real, and it started in January of 2021. So in the last 4 to 5 months, you and I have had reason after reason after reason to either take a shot together because we were celebrating something or take a shot together because we were stressed out about something. But either way, this is just one of the avenues where we've just like been there for each other, supported one another's feelings. So this is now celebration. This is a celebration, celebrating, interviewing you, amplifying your voice, telling your story. This is so, ooh, that looks
This is
so
my old
cool. Did
fashioned,
you
by the
see
way.
that?
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think I'm drinking
So,
something weird. It's all good.
so cheers to our friendship. Cheers to us coming to this
Amen.
point 4 or 5 months later. It's exciting stuff. I'm gonna
Amen.
keep
This is
sipping on
dope.
this because it tastes delicious. Please tell me about your family and your familial influences growing up.
It's a great question. I think the most important is definitely my relationships with my grandfathers.
Mm,
And that's it's what I still get emotional even when I think about it, honestly, because my grandfather and my grandfather on my dad's side was somebody. He was just that type of dude that everybody respected, and that was the first thing I noticed when I was a kid was that everybody respects him, no matter who it is. It's just people know even when they walk into a room, he's there. He was one of those type of men. He was really old school, but had a great sense of humor, hilarious. He had this cackle that he would do, and when he would cackle, he would also tap his knee at the same time. It's the greatest laugh I ever heard in my entire life.
That
And
sounds so good.
he taught me just yeah, it was just one of those things you're just going to laugh automatically no matter what. You know what I mean? And although he was a serious guy, he also just had this this heart that was just so pure, and he really looked out for everybody. And I think that was my first kind of look at an older black man that I could look up to. You know what I mean? And I learned a lot from him. I learned even small stuff about how to fold up my dollar bills so they don't crinkle when they in my pocket, or anything like that, or how to fold a pizza box. He knew just random facts about stuff because he had so many different jobs and he just knew everything. So I always looked at him as like, oh, he knows literally everything. I don't need Google for what. I have my grandfather. He's right there. So we would have this relationship where every Sunday we would watch the Eagles game and we would have tuna fish sandwiches and a glass of chocolate milk. And that was
Mm,
our traditions, you know what I mean? And then after the Eagles game, either we would take a nap or we would throw in a Western. He loved his Westerns too. And, we would just hang out. And mind you, I was a small kid. And he passed by the time I was 12, I believe,
mm,
12 going on 13, I think. And, so really the majority of my life with him was literally my childhood.
mm.
That's really what it was. But I never forgot anything that he taught me. That feeling of being around him, I still remember it like it was yesterday. And ironically, he never got a chance to actually see me play and make music. He
Mm,
passed, I think, 2 or 3 months before my very first gig.
mm.
My first gig was at the Trocadero Theater in Chinatown, and I
Wow.
remember he was in the hospital at the time, and I got tickets to my show. And I'm hyped. I'm like, yo, I got real tickets to the show. This is
Right,
crazy. I'm about to make it. You know what I mean? I'm
right.
12. and I brought the tickets with me to the hospital. And at the time, I was at an age I didn't really understand fully what's going on with the sickness and everything like
Yeah,
that. He
yeah.
passed from cancer, so I didn't really. And that was the other thing. He was also never sick. My grandpa never got sick, so I never seen him sick until he's just in the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and this is actually the very last time I visited him too. I go to the hospital. I brought my tickets with me to my show,
Mm.
and I'm telling my grandpa got a show on on this date or whatever. And you know what he told me as he's laying in the hospital bed, knowing that he's not well. You know what he told me? He said, "I'll be there."
Wow. How
He
have I
said, "I'll
mean,
be
I
there."
just got finished saying all this stuff about our friendship. How did you not ever tell me that story, Cameron? Are
I
you
was saving it for the
serious?
pod. You know what I mean? I was saving
Clearly.
it for the pod.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, "I'll be there," knowing for a fact that he wasn't well. But
My
when I brought him
goodness.
that ticket and I left the ticket, I wonder what happened to that ticket now I'm thinking about it. I left the ticket on the table next to his hospital bed.
Mhm.
And that was the last time I saw him.
Wow. And then how did you feel the evening of that gig?
Um, I was super nervous. I remember I was super, super nervous.
Mhm.
But I was constantly thinking about him at the time. It was still super fresh in my mind, and I was
Yeah.
actually surprised that he had passed. I didn't really know about his sickness or really understand it. So
Mm.
yeah, I was super nervous, but he was in the back of my mind. And
Yeah.
even now, when I do certain things, I even think about what Grandpa would think of this. You know what I mean? Or I
Mhm.
know that he would be at a gig if he was
Mhm.
able to be here. You know what I'm saying? Or he would be at a film shoot of Stoop Sounds or of Reason in Disguise. Like he would be there to
Oh
watch
my
and enjoying it
goodness. I just
because he loved
envisioned him
music.
like standing outside of the house while we were recording each artist and like smiling, talking to the people that were pulling up, like not caring. I don't know why in my head
Yeah,
I just envisioned him like standing next to Jaded, like standing next to Jim,
yeah.
like, hey, what's up, son?
Yeah. That's literally
Wow.
how he was. He was just like, he was just a cool dude. You know what I mean? So I always, and I think the older I get, I think about him more too. There's
Hmm.
certain times where I wish I could talk to him. Wish I could ask him questions. Anything like that. He was just a very knowledgeable person. So
Mm.
yeah, my grandfather, till this day, is definitely the number one, biggest influence on me as a young man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even was that 13 years ago? I think now. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
is
Even
this
13 years
Nathaniel
later,
that you're speaking about, or is it your other
he's still
grandfather?
a big influence. This is Nathaniel.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
Nathaniel. Yeah.
Mhm.
And my great segue too. My other grandfather, John Cook. That was on my mom's side, and I remember him really in the same type of way. Just one of those old school guys that was just super cool, just super cool. And he said he called me Cool Cat my entire life. He didn't call me Cam. He called me Cool Cat. That's what he always called me because I was super quiet. I was super laid back. So he always called me Cool. He's like, "You a cool cat, man. You know that. You a cool cat." That's all he would just say. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And yeah, just in the same way, just one of those old school guys that you could talk to, you could laugh with. He was hilarious. Have good conversations with. And he passed last year from COVID actually.
Mm.
Um, and I saw him the day that he passed away. We went to the nursing home because I didn't see him that much before then, and I believe he passed in June of last year. We had the big COVID shutdown in March. So I didn't see him for a while, but I knew he was sick. I knew he was getting sick. This was around the time where like all the nursing homes were having these major breakouts of COVID and everything like that. It was insane. And unfortunately, his nursing home was one of those homes that got taken down by COVID. So I saw him the day that he passed away, and I've been trying to go see him for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like I was telling my mom, like, yo, I gotta go see grandpa. And
Right.
then mind you, I didn't know how serious it was. I just knew that, I had to go see him. And because COVID was still new at that time, they weren't letting any visitors in. My mom had finally had a chance to visit maybe 2 weeks or so before he passed away. But they didn't allow any other visitors besides that.
Mm.
But she became cool with the nurses and everything, and she really told them that, oh, hey, his grandson really, really, really wants to see him. Can we make this
Yeah.
happen? And the crazy thing is that day that they made it happen, I was able to go visit him. Was actually the day that he passed away. So we went up there, and I heard maybe for at least the past week he wasn't talking. It was no motion. It was nothing. He was just basically like comatose almost.
Mm.
Um, and the day that I went there, his hand started moving. And then I grabbed his hand. He actually touched my hand. He squeezed a little bit. And the nurses are
Wow.
looking like, John, is that you? John, you didn't say nothing for a week now. We haven't heard anything from you.
Look at that.
His hand started moving. He squeezed my hand. He wasn't really there, but when I started talking to him, I would just lean over his face and I would just talk to him normally. And he
Look
actually
at that.
looked up for the first time. His eyes opened for the first time. He looked up, and and I saw his eyes a little bit. And that was the craziest experiences I've ever had. To this day, I mean, if you can, do want anybody to picture that, but if you have that experience of seeing someone on their deathbed, it's very different. It's very, very,
Yes.
very different. Especially when you're used to seeing that person alive and up and walking around. The room feels different, the energy feels different, the temperature feels different, the emotion feels different. It's everything. You look that person in the eyes and you see like, oh, they're not here, even though they're still alive, right? When his eyes open, I can tell he wasn't really there. But uh, that moment of knowing that we had that opportunity, me and him, to have that one last bond with each other,
Yes.
and really kind of connect, even though he wasn't able to talk, and we were able to connect in that one last moment. It was a goodbye that I needed. Although I didn't know that he would pass like literally right after we left the room is when he officially passed. And it was as if he was just waiting for us to get there, me and my mom.
Wow.
And we finally got there, and you could tell he was just holding on, and finally got there and had that moment with him. Was just super beautiful, super pure, and yeah, just to see a man like that, even in those moments, is you have a whole lot of respect for it, a whole lot of respect.
First and foremost, I'm sorry that this is the type of loss and heartbreak that you have had to sort through, but also how blessed you are. I know several people that were in the same scenario last year throughout the pandemic with family members that were in nursing homes that were completely locked down. And I know people who did not get to go see not even their grandparents, their parents. So to
Yeah,
hear that you were able to have that moment and that experience with him, you're truly blessed, truly blessed.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I pray for everyone that lost, anybody to this pandemic. It's really been tough. Ooh, we starting a little heavy, ain't we? it.
That was beautiful.
Oh man, all right.
I'm
I
sorry
seriously have never told anybody that. Yeah, I've never told anybody that.
about the day of
No,
his passing.
hmm never talked about it until now.
The thing about you and your personality and you being a Scorpio, you guys, the word secretive has a negative connotation, but it doesn't have to. You are secretive in the way where there are things that you feel so strongly about that you hold them so tightly because you don't necessarily trust other people with them. You just want to hold on to them and keep
Hmm
them to yourself. But then praise the Lord, you have friendships like this one where, you feel
hmm
okay with being open and expressive about certain things. So I'm humbled. I'm grateful for the way that you shared that. And I love that the opening to this interview gave us insight on how important these relationships were to you and, the ways that
Yeah,
both of these men shaped you.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a testament to you being just so good at your job, though, too. that you knew to start with that. Like, I'm like, that's good. That's good.
For the record,
And you wonder why your
I
own
didn't
sound
start with that
testing is crazy.
purposefully. I asked about influences. I did not know that you were going to into your grandfathers more specifically.
Oh, really? I thought that was my
I mean, I
folklore
knew they
moment.
would
I thought
come
that was
up.
it.
Don't get me wrong. I knew they were going to come up, but I was curious to hear if you would have been like,
Oh,
my grandmama, she beat me when I cussed, so I stopped cussing. And then my granddad, he taught me how to fish. And like, I thought it might have been like that, but no, you went deep. Water sign, Cameron. It was
I
beautiful.
only know how to, gotta get the good content, man. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? That's a
And
good
what I
little
want to
2 minute
let,
IGTV joint for you.
oh, here we go. And what
You
I
know
want
what
to let
I'm
everyone know
saying?
is that Cam and I have had deep conversations about his grandfathers in the past. While they weren't the same story that you just told specifically, we have gone there before. And, to me, that wasn't just you sharing about your grandfathers. Those are people that you've brought up before that I kind of feel like I know just because of how well I know you. So much appreciated bringing them up and using
Mhm.
them to begin the conversation.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
So I wanted to segue into, speaking about the two Black men that have shaped you as a young Black man. It makes me think of other influences around you. It makes me think of your environment. So, beyond your grandfathers and your family shaping you the way that they have, what does being from Philadelphia truly mean and truly say? What are some things that you see in your immediate atmosphere, especially as a young kid when you're more impressionable? What are some of the things you've had to fight against? What are some of the things that you couldn't fight against and you may have had to fall into? Um, just the overall experience that you've had within the city of Philadelphia as a young Black man. What does that look like?
It's very complicated.
It's a good
Just to
word
put
for
it that
that.
way. It's very, very. It's a complicated relationship, I should say. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the For one, the city of Philadelphia is amazing. Um, I'm honored and blessed to have been raised here. Start by saying it that way. Um, yeah, I grew up in South Philly, so the first thing I noticed, as far as saying outside influences or anything like that, growing up in South Philly is very diverse, but everybody was family on the block. You know what I'm saying? I grew up at Fifth and Christian, but everybody in that neighborhood
Mm.
was just family. So like you had your OGs that would be on the corner every day, and they would speak to you, ask you how you doing. They like, yo, what's up, young blood? And those the same dudes that lived in South Philly
Young blood.
since
Young blood
70
kills
something.
me.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that. That's how they were. They'll be on the corners every day. Everybody speak to them. They had your other young guys in the area. You knew what they did, or maybe you didn't know what they did. Some people, were in the street life, and other people weren't. But I was blessed enough to not be involved in that street lifestyle, thanks to my
Mm.
parents.
Mm.
They were very determined to keep that away from me. Period. So I had never gotten involved in any of that.
Okay.
But
Amen.
coming up, you're aware of it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're aware of it, but that's not you. And that's what. And I was always scared of my parents too. So I'm just thinking like, man, yo, if I got called them from prison or something, they gonna break into the prison to kill me. Like I'm more scared of them than I am of like getting arrested. So I knew no matter what, I was always gonna keep myself out of trouble.
Mm.
That's just the type of parents they were. So Thankfully, I was never involved in that life. But what I will say about Philly is, yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult and dangerous at times. I mean, the
Hmm.
amount of murders we had last year is astronomical. But also you make good friendships too. Um, and I will say about Philly people, they recognize if you being real or not. That and
Mm,
that kind of determines if you're going to be
mm.
able to stay here or not. That's we'll always recognize that no matter what. So yeah, although Philly has a reputation of being rough, being outspoken, it's a it grooms you into being somebody special, especially being prepared for the outside world that we have to go into,
Mm.
because the rest of the world is much worse than just a city of Philadelphians. You know what I mean? So
Damn, that was so
beyond
dope.
that,
Let me tell you your exact words that I loved so much. It
mm,
grooms you. Philadelphia grooms you into being somebody special. I'm sure
mm,
we can all touch and agree that if you know someone that is from Philly, there is absolutely something unique and special about this person that stands out.
yeah,
And I love how you just worded that. That was so dope. And I want to use that to connect to music because I've said to some of the other musicians we've had on the show, a Philadelphia musician is nothing to play around with. A
not
Philadelphia
at all.
musician is the real deal. So, speaking to you as a musician, as someone who started going to school for jazz, as someone who is a passionate artist, Cam, what does that intersection look like? Why are Philadelphia musicians no effing joke? It's
Like, I really wish
magical.
I knew the answer to that. It's like I said, it goes so deep too. It goes deeper into the culture, into the neighborhoods of what Philly is. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Especially coming up. So it depends on, as a musician, where you kind of grew up at. Some musicians went to school for it. Others grew up in church doing it. Other people did both. I did both. But it's something about that competitive nature that you have,
mm,
when you're around, but also you form a brotherhood and a sisterhood with other musicians. You know what I'm saying? So everybody is kind of teaching each other and pushing each other
yeah.
to be great. It's kind of that mentality of, yeah, we're all going to make it out of here and we're going to be the best at what we're doing. And that's what Philly is. So even if you go to jam sessions and stuff, it's guys that are tour the world and they're from Philly and they'll come back off a tour and you'll run into them at a club, at a jam session or whatever. They like, yo,
Yeah.
what's up? Yo, what's going on? And knowing they just came back off tour from doing a BET Awards or from performing with John Legend or Meek Mill or anybody like that. But you'll run into them at a jam session and you'll end up playing beside them like that. That's just what
So
it is.
cool. So cool.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
crazy.
comes full circle back to what you were explaining about Philadelphia as a whole. What came to my mind when you were explaining it is like there is no being fake. You specifically said something about being from Philly. You can tell when someone's not being real. And as soon as you feel it, it rubs up against you and your authenticity. Philly
Hmm.
just comes straight out the gate. Yo, are you being fake or not? And if you are, it's cool. You have no place here. Go be fake
Yeah.
somewhere else. Go play around somewhere else. That can be a positive thing, absolutely. And then of course, like you and I have discussed before, the political aspect of Philadelphia.
Hmm.
And this is my first time thinking this particular thought. Like I said, we've talked about this before, and we're usually just like, damn, why Philly got to be so political? Why does everything have to be about who has what group you want to stick around with, and what reputation you want to? But when you tie it into the authenticity and people being genuine, it's just like you have to go above and beyond to find the ways that these lanes can intersect, that these lanes can merge. But if people are too busy going to get theirs, if people are too busy, they've got tunnel vision on what's real to them. And if it's not the same as what's real to you, then they're just like, well, then why do our lanes need to merge? I don't want to merge lanes then. I'll stay over here while you stay over there. Like, this is my first time kind of working that out in my head. And I apologize if it wasn't as eloquent as it could have been because that was like my first time thinking that through.
Yeah, no, that's real though. That's exactly what it is. And I mean, you've been around here, so um, yeah, that
Mm,
even when it comes to politics and stuff, just how we got the president to complain about us. Like that's how that's how vocal he was at the top. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
right,
crazy. The
right.
whole Republican Party hated us. Like and that's what we do. It was great. And then we went out and protested. It was amazing.
Philly, Philly.
I went out and protested with people, with my family. It was so dope. It was so dope, y'all. It
I
was so dope.
bet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm honored to have experienced that. Yeah, that was last year too. Or, yeah, I think that was.
So
Man, last year was.
Isn't it? Yo, I've been thinking about that.
Shoot.
The reasons that that's been coming up in my head is because of the way that I'm like more comfortable with going out coming up. Uh, I went through some strange feelings just within the last couple days, remembering the fear and the anxiety and the shutdown that happened last year, remembering what it meant to be mentally shut down to the idea of socializing. And so now a year later to feel comfortable with socializing again, my brain was definitely going through some stuff. It was definitely tripping. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very, very, very weird. And I work at a bar, a beer garden, and even being around there, seeing how stuff is slowly starting to open back up. But even
Mm,
sometimes at work, I'll catch myself looking around like,
you're
is
watching the
this
numbers increase. Yeah,
yeah, I'm like, is this okay? Are we good? You know what I'm saying?
right.
I don't know.
You used the terms brotherhood and sisterhood. And I would love to use that as an opportunity to speak on, we talked about your family influences. What about the
Hmm.
chosen family? What about the people that aren't blood but have absolutely molded you into
Hmm.
who you are? Whether it be school age days, whether it be college days and present day, what are some of those relationships?
That's a lot of people, man. Thankfully, that's a lot of people. I have people from different, parts of my life. So I have my elementary school days with Blue Bond Guitars. Shout out to Blue Bond Guitars, where I trained as a musician, as a piano player, guitar player, and a drummer, and
Mm,
ultimately just became a drummer full time. But I studied there for about 13 years, from 2003 2016. So that whole family vibe, that's where I got my first gigs from. They always looked out, and I'm still in touch with everybody there.
nice.
So yeah, that brotherhood sisterhood there was incredible, just being a young age, and then even growing up, just family friends, that we've had. My mom grew up around just a lot of guys. Like she had a lot of guy friends, growing up that grew up in a neighborhood in Germantown that one of them became my godfather, and
Mm,
all of them just became my older brothers and my uncles and stuff like that. It's a lot. It's like eight of them. You know what I mean? But they've been around. They've been around me since I was a baby, and I'm still in
hmm.
touch with them. If I ever need any help, I'll call them. If I need advice, I'll call them. You know what I'm saying? So just that brotherhood right there, having older individuals that you can look to and call at any time and
You are
being
so
like,
blessed. All I can
yeah,
keep
it's
thinking
it's
is how blessed you
crazy.
are.
And yeah, it's really amazing. Like I said, they grew up with my mom, up in the Germantown area. So those are guys that just know my entire family in general on that side.
Hmm.
And they've, they've really helped me just throughout my life in general. They still do to this day. So and I know they'll be watching this podcast too when it come out. So
Oh snap!
shout
Hey
out to
guys,
them.
what's up?
Right, right.
I know that
Uh
you know how great Cam is. I also know
oh
how great
God.
Cam is. This is why I'm here with him today. So thank
You
you,
tripping.
who's watching, to all of the brother and sisterhood that helped form Cam. Thank you. New friends like myself greatly appreciate it. He's wonderful. You know what? Can I make you leave like I could do on the other thing? Darn it. I would have had a one-on-one like, yo, guys, don't let him
Right, that
downplay
would have
how
been
great
dope.
he is. I know y'all worked hard on making him this great. Don't let him take it for granted. Don't let it go to waste. I'll keep complimenting him too. Okay. You can trust
Yeah,
me
you're
to
making me
build him
so
up.
uncomfortable. It's fine.
Don't be uncomfortable.
Right,
Yo,
right.
I can't wait for the day that you're more comfortable with this. Because it happens. It comes. We're not going. I don't know. Does the audience know how old I just turned? Do they know how old I am? I don't know. But all I'm gonna say is I'm a couple years older than Cameron. Okay.
Hmm.
And I be
Hmm.
trying to tell them like, yo, you're not gonna feel this way forever. I understand you feel this way now. You're uncomfortable about taking compliments. One day and one day soon, you're going to find the perfect balance between being honest about who you are and being humble. It's a very thin line,
Hmm.
but people like you and I who have genuine hearts and good spirits, we like to find that line because it just feels good. It helps us get ahead. It stops us from talking down
Sure.
on ourselves. It keeps us from getting taken advantage of or mistreated. But then it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like, you don't have to reject the compliments. You don't have to call me a liar. Oh, I forgot I'm not using that. You don't have to call me a liar. I'm telling the truth about who you are.
Yo, that is so true. I mean, yeah, it comes from just like you said, that's a fine line between being humble and being honest with who you are. And that goes back to brother and sisterhood. I mean, people that I've become close to, they really help keep me grounded, you know what I'm saying? And as of recent, my anybody that I've created anything with, I look
Mm,
at that as a brotherhood and sister. So
mm.
everything that we've created in the last 2 years or so, starting with my brother Kenny Wu, and shout out to Kenny,
Shout out Kenny.
what
Woo.
Larry helps me with everything. You know what I'm saying? So that like that's my brother for life. You know what I mean? And then from there, everything kind of just connects. You know what I'm saying? You meet different people here and there, and you make good
Yeah,
friendships. You do make good friendships. So
yeah.
I'm blessed for that.
I'm so proud of you for going out and doing all the things that you wanted to do in terms of passion and career. To hear that the brotherhoods and the sisterhoods have been established in these lanes of what you want to do or what you're so good at or what you love so much. It's not just any old brother and sisterhood. The foundation of these friendships is in things like
Mm-hmm.
music or creativity or videography. And I think that's wonderful. You brought up Kenny. Shout out to Kenny,
Yes,
brother
sir.
from another mother. We
Mm-hmm.
can't bring up Kenny without bringing up Luke, a brother from another
Mm-hmm.
mother. Talented
Absolutely.
Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is it time? Is it time to discuss Stoop sound sessions? I don't know. I don't know. Let me hold on. Let me make sure because you know how my brain works with these conversations.
Right.
Hold on. Let me look at the map. It's a legitimate map.
Now, I mean, do we have to backtrack and go over? Do we have to backtrack and go over the previous projects, or do we jump right into, what I'm saying, the main joint that's happening right now?
Thank you. Thank you. No, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you. All right. This is so awesome.
Pray your
Craig
hands. Go for it.
Hamilton. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Said pray your hands. Go for it.
Prayer
About to
hands.
be some
Yo. Craig
serious.
Hamilton. Craig Hamilton.
Yes, my other brother. My other brother.
Your brother in music.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Craig Hamilton is the reason that Cameron Rogers and I have connected. Because when I interviewed Craig, phenomenal Craig, son, brother, nephew, musician, musical director. I
Hmm.
feel like I'm missing some things. Writer. Didn't he say he writes as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you're
Craig.
right. Yeah.
When I interviewed Craig, Cameron found out about that because he has interviewed Craig. Not only has he interviewed Craig Hamilton, but he has featured Craig Hamilton in a full on episode, a mini documentary of Reasons in Disguise, which is a documentary series that can be found on YouTube, directed by Cameron Rogers, who is the CEO, the founder, the creator of Il John Studios. Il John Studios is a huge umbrella underneath of which is videography, cinematography, audio, tech, sound. What do you need? Music videos, documentaries, stoop sound sessions, Reasons in Disguise, Julian King's Church. The list goes on and on. Cam, where did Il John Studios come from? And what has it accomplished to date?
Wow. Um,
Mm-hmm. 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 Yup.
yeah, you irking. I'll tell you, you
What I
but
do?
no, you're so good at this. No matter how many times I've talked to you, you still get me. That's like, damn, I think about that every time. But
Sorry.
you don't have to apologize for it. But I'll accept the apology though. So I think yeah, it started with Reasons in Disguise. Reasons in Disguise actually started as the idea of it was supposed to be a mini series about street performers. Actually,
Mm,
that was the original idea,
yes.
and I
Yes.
came up with that idea from I think a day that I was on my way back from Chestnut Hill from a gig that I didn't really make money from. I didn't have no money in my pocket. I'm like, man, people need to understand how hard this is to pursue this, to pursue, music for a living. And I was like, oh yeah, I should make a documentary or something like that. And then lo and behold, I'm like, all right, I don't have film equipment. I need to figure out how to do this. And I go on the UR's website. I go to the film page of their film school, and I
Mm.
scroll all the way down. We have like these student highlights, these little bubbles, and it shows you different students that's doing different stuff. And guess who's in the middle? Kenny Wooten. I was like, oh, cool. He's a black kid too. That's great, perfect.
Right.
And I sent them an email. We met up, and yeah, that's how Reason in Skies got started. But it actually took 2 years to make that project. That was from 2018 to 2020. Yeah, we actually finished in 2020, in February 2020, right before the pandemic.
Mm,
And yeah, that idea behind it was just, showcasing what, goes into pursuing music and what musicians have to
mm-hmm.
experience. So
Right.
we had two other episodes with Rasha Love, who's an amazing singer and a mother, and also Faith the violinist, who's also an amazing violin player. And yeah, originally it was supposed to be 8 episodes, but it ended up being too ambitious, and I kind of just dumbed it down to those three. And originally, Craig Hamilton was supposed to be Marcus Myers. Shout out to Marcus Myers, who's a teacher at UArts and also a fellow drummer,
Mm,
who I worked with when I was a part of the Philly Drum Project for a couple of years coming up. Philly Drum Project is a nonprofit that gives music lessons and clinics to just drummers around the Philadelphia area.
mm,
So that was another one of my experiences coming up with fellow musicians. And yeah, I reached out to Craig and Marcus couldn't do it, and Craig was down, and his story was amazing. His story was really amazing. So I'm super proud
beautiful.
of that and super blessed for that opportunity. And yeah, then out of that, by the time 2 years later, by the time Reason in Disguise was coming out, I had the idea of Eldron Studios and what it would be. I wanted to make content,
Yeah.
and I wanted to support the culture of music and support musicians and artists as much as possible.
Right.
So the idea was to tell as many stories as I possibly could,
Mm,
about the music industry and how we could impact as many people as possible, in any way, shape, or form, whether it's a music video, a documentary, a short film, anything like that. So that's where Eldron Studios came into, and it ended up being, like you said, an umbrella essentially, because now I have three clients now where I'm also doing marketing for them under the Eldron umbrella, and getting into making series for them and videos, and helping them with ends as artists and getting photo shoots, the whole nine. So Eldron Studios has essentially become a creative agency just in itself, and it's amazing things coming up. So that's where Eldron Studios is, man.
I love it. Tell me about, and this is what I just thought of. So Ildorn Studios has become a creative agency when it comes to supporting any creative that comes to you and needs anything, especially when it comes to marketing, media management, and everything that falls underneath of the umbrella that is marketing. Tell me about your experience with that. And I want to hear a little bit about what you do for Sony because I know that that all ties together.
Yeah, it's um the my experience in the marketing realm of music came from working at record labels. I got
Mhm.
my start at Rope Records, and shout out to Fabian Brown, who's also a UArts alum, and also had a PR at Rope Records, and gave me the opportunity to work for him. And I stayed there for about a year, and that experience was great. It was just social media management, and turns out I was like, I have a passion for it. This is cool. And then after my time at Rope was up, that's when I applied for a job at Sony Music,
Mhm.
and that landed me at one of their distribution companies, the Orchard. And the Orchard is just it's honestly one of the best jobs I've ever had. The best bosses. Shout out to Allison just for helping me through this journey in my music career, figuring
Mm,
out where I want to go. And they're super open about ideas. You can go to your coworkers or go to your boss and say, I have this idea. I want to know if it makes sense. Is it possible to do?
right.
And if so, how can we do it? How can we get it approved? How can we make it happen? And wow, this would be a dope segue into the Stoop Sound sessions. Actually, it would be.
Boom,
But
do it. You don't need me.
I'll,
You got it.
just
What was that? What was
yeah.
that you said? Stoop sound sessions.
So
Hmm.
yeah. So I'll keep going. I'll keep going with my experience at the Orchard. Um, yeah, it's literally they have artists ranging from Georgia Smith to Jordan Lucas, Daniel Caesar, any Alanis Morissette. Is so many people. Will Smith. There is so many experiences that I've had and campaigns
I'm
I've been
sorry.
on and
I'm
artists that we
sorry.
work
Who
with.
did you just say? Will Smith?
Yeah, we did a release with Will Smith because he collabed with our artist Jordan Lucas that we have on the roster. A song called Will actually, and it's
I
crazy.
know
It's
exactly
insane.
what you're talking about. I did not know Joyner Lucas was associated with your organization, but because
Yeah. That rollout was
hold
us,
on
man. So
1 second. I don't know if you know or if anybody else knows how I feel about Will Smith. Give me if I could just have a second. Hold on, please. Everybody go back and watch Khalif Mussi's episode, season 1, episode 3, so you can have a little bit more insight on how I feel about Will Smith. Oh my god.
how everybody feels about Will Smith.
No, 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 not at all. Absolutely not.
Oh, you're like I'm special. That's
There
what's
I
up.
am. I am. Nobody on
Oh,
this
that's
planet
hilarious.
feels the way I feel about that man. And that's that. Don't you ever
Go ahead.
blaspheme like that again.
Go ahead. You gotta fight for it. You gotta fight for it. That's hilarious. I'm literally about to give you a heart attack just for mentioning that. That's funny.
I am back and I am better. Please,
Yo, that's awesome.
please continue.
Yeah, that's yeah, that entire roster, that entire experience. I've been there for 2 years now. And yeah, you get certain work that's, like I said, unbelievable. Like one week you look up, you have a release with Will Smith and Jordan Lucas. The next week you got a release with Pitbull. It's just insane. You know what I mean? And I'm just super grateful for Sony and Orchard for giving me that opportunity. And actually, when I came on for that position, there was this social media account by the name of Stu Sounds Philly that I was going to be taking over from another Philadelphian that was running it before me. And yeah, so I took over that account, and I think I didn't even think of Stoop Sound Sessions until literally last year, maybe last summer. But that came out of the need. We came out of a meeting one week where they were like, guys, we need more content. Let's see. By that point, the pandemic had hit, so we weren't doing our tours and nothing like that. So we had to come up with, all right, what are we going to do during this kind of lockdown that we're just all virtual and at home and stuff like that. And yeah, that's where Stoop Sound Sessions came from, because also it was in the name of the account, and I was like, all right, Stoop Sounds, Stoop Sounds, Stoop Sounds. Yeah, let's do something on somebody's step, and
Right.
we're a music account. So all right, let's make music, let's make it happen. And that's literally where that idea of Stoop Sound Sessions came from. It was just a desperation to come up with some content that that's what my job is. I'm required to come up with content and
Right.
put it out. So
It goes so much deeper than that being your job, though. One of the connections that I made just a few minutes ago is that Reasons in Disguise is your baby. That documentary series where you said you wanted to give people an inside look on what it truly means to be pursuing music. You wanted to amplify the voices of the artists that you did have featured for that documentary series. So, the beginning of
mhm,
your journey starts off with valuing these stories, and then the intersection of you and your desires, what you're passionate about, and what the Orchard and Sony wanted you to do, as a job. You still put your genuine self into that job and said, well, if I'm going to run this account, if you're going to ask me for more content, what is it that Cameron will bring to the table? There's a million other ways that any other person would have figured out how to amp up the content, but you
absolutely.
said, all right, here's what I'll do. I'm going to give a louder voice or another platform to artists within Philadelphia. I'm going to tie into something something as plain and simple as running an account for a big company. You rolled all of that, snowballed all of that into, I'm Cameron Rogers, and here are the things that are important to me. So I'm going to go find Philadelphia artists that want another platform, need another platform, and put them on this one. Like, you did that, okay? And here's another thing I wanted to bring up. In thinking about each podcast episode, each Mirage episode that I conduct, I'm always thinking about the audience, about the people, because the purpose of this thing is you are made of things, you come with things, stories, experiences, thoughts, and feelings that are valuable, that a lot of people will also find valuable, or other people need to hear, other people need to learn from. And what's popping out at me is this concept of, like, we're not good at taking compliments. We're really good at being humble. We're really not good at taking compliments. But I have a question for you that revolves around all of this. If
Mhm.
I were to ask Sony, if I were to ask the Orchard, hey, that kid Cameron Rogers that you gave this job to, that you had run the account, I'm sure you had plenty of other people that, applied for the position. Why'd you give the job to Cameron?
Mm.
And this goes out to people that have trouble seeing the good within themselves, or that have trouble taking compliments, or that have trouble celebrating themselves and their wins, no matter how big or small. So I'm asking you from outside of the box. If you were to ask Allison, shout out Allison, hey, why do you think they gave me this job? What's Allison going to say, Cameron?
God, it's so good.
Thank you.
Uh, even still, it's so hard. I really I don't want to say it's a struggle, but it's very difficult for me to see from the outside what other people see in me. Now, I would assume something that I'm very proud of is my determination and passion. And I think when those two things are together, it makes stuff like Stoop Sound Sessions or Reasons of Disguise or Creativity Stays Home. Shout out to my other film that was out last year. Um, yeah, I feel like I feel like I'm able to earn someone's trust within one conversation. I do know that. And
Mm.
I vividly remember my interview with Allison uh, at the time, and she was very quiet and she listened and she let me speak. And I talked about rope a dope. I talked about my love for music, all of this type of stuff. So I would imagine that she knew that I was the real deal. She knew that I would twinkle sound effect.
Or like twinkle, a twinkle sound effect, or also like just put the SpongeBob gif with the rainbow right here. Use
Oh
your
yeah, yeah.
imagination and pretend like it's 3 days ago because we had a technical difficulty. But guess what? We still here wearing the same clothes. Mine got washed. I don't know about his.
My drone got washed. It just got two extra wrinkles though that I'm no mad about. It's all good.
So we persevered, and I appreciate your encouragement to just be authentic about that, Cam. Like we persevered through the technical difficulty.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
back and we better, and
look
we're
how we
about to
replicate the backgrounds. You know what I'm saying?
right.
We professionals.
Yo, I had to mirror the camera. He got the clock exactly at the right
Hey, yo,
distance
I
from
think
his
my
head.
angle is right on point. That's crazy.
It really is. No, it really is. I looked at it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Yo,
over
that
here
was
making sure.
natural.
I was like, yo, how many leaves did Jim have showing? 1, 2, 3, 4. I
Not
think
Jim.
he had 7 leaves showing in the last.
Yo, what if Jim grew like
No, he
twice the
did.
size in three
Oh,
days? Jim been growing fast though. Honestly, I don't
wait.
think Jim looked
It's
the same way he did
he
3 days
doesn't.
ago.
It's funny you say that. Here's why. Wait, I'm so glad you said that because after part one of our interview, it was watering day, and when Jim gets
Yeah,
watered, he'd be like, shoot, like you're
yeah. Jim
absolutely
came
right.
up.
Jim
Yeah,
really
Jim
did come
came
up.
up. Listen.
So Jim is giving away the fact that this was not one shot, okay? But it's cool. It's cool.
Word, we
But
back.
we're gonna wrap up this phenomenal conversation, which has been wonderful. And the last thing I was saying before our first video got cut off was what would Allison say? Allison gave you the position that you have at Sony, working for the Orchard. And in my effort to get you to see how wonderful you are, as well as expand that concept and to inspire and encourage our listeners to, yes, I understand, remain humble, but also know what you bring to the table, know your worth,
Hmm.
act on what you know you are worthy of. So because Cam is a great friend of mine, I'm always over here like, come on, Cam, like you can be confident,
All the time. It's
you can
so annoying.
recognize who
I'm
you
telling you.
truly are because you're royalty, but there's that. um I was
Thank you
asking
though.
you, of course, I was asking you what Allison would say if somebody stepped to her and was like, oh, by the way, question, I know you had a lot of candidates for this position, why'd you give Cameron the job? And your answer about why you got that position is what?
It's my determination.
Mm.
And I mean, also, I think the thing I left out the first time was also my creativity as well. That comes to the position, but going on with the determination, I think that conversation that we had that day, and I remember it vividly. It
Mm.
was a conversation about my musical journey in Philly and how I, switched 3 different instruments, got into UArts after not making it the first time, and spent a year after that training, not in college, watching my other friends in college while training for
Mm.
this audition a second time, and then finally got in. And we had that conversation just of how, I got to that point of clicking on a Sony job listing and being like, yo, I think I can actually do this.
Wow, yes.
And I think that's something that she would say is just that determination because it shows. It's,
Right.
now we're here and now I'm going to show you what I can do.
Right. What stood out to me just now is that you looked at it and you said, you know what, I think I can actually do this. Was there a transition, times that you did not believe in yourself? And then you can kind of see the path that you traveled along to get to, never mind, I do believe in myself. I can do this. What's that
Yeah.
transition look like? Or what circumstances or people in your life made you feel smaller than you truly were?
I mean, I'll be honest, 99% of the time, I feel like I am not either qualified to do something or that I can't do something 99% of the time. That transition happens literally a split second before I actually make the decision to do something. Like
Wow.
I don't even know. It's a switch that turns on. That's yeah, I'm tripping. All right, I'm right into it. So I mean, between that time period of that switch turning on and me making that decision is very small. It's not even
Wow.
a huge amount of time. Once I'm into it, I'm just into it, and I just go. Like that's it. I just go off. So
Wow.
I even think I'm trying to think what point was I at during that time I interviewed for it. Oh, I just left Rope Records actually. I just
Hmm.
left Rope and yeah, I thought my music industry journey was pretty much like over by that point.
Wow.
Until I got an email that said, "Hey, Cameron, we got your application. We'd like to talk to you." And I'm like, "Oh snap! All right, cool." That's when that switch turned on. Back, let's talk. And and it
Wow.
goes right into there. But yeah, honestly, 99% of the time, I definitely have a lot of self doubt. I feel like I can't do something, and I don't think people realize that because they see me doing all of
Yeah.
this stuff, and I'm like,
What
nah,
is
I
this
don't.
imposter syndrome thing? What is it? Where did it come from? How do we obliterate it? Uh, so tell me what pops into your head when I say this next statement. Can that switch stay on 99.999% of the time? Why does the switch go off? How could someone, if they wanted to, keep that switch on more frequently?
For me personally, I think it's a good thing that mine is off. To be
Mm,
honest with you,
mm-hmm,
um, I don't feel any type of way about having that doubt. I don't necessarily like it, but I understand the way that I work as
mm-hmm,
well, and it's not the healthiest way to where I wouldn't recommend it.
right.
But there's something in me about that survival and that, like I said, determination
Mm-hmm,
that comes into play. Where yeah, even though I feel like that most of the time, I'm gonna always get to the point where I know I can do something,
right.
and and I still don't even understand why I'm like that. I've been like that since I was little. I
Mm-hmm,
overanalyze everything. I've always been like that, overachiever. I've always been like that since I was
right.
little. So I can't necessarily pinpoint what it is, but what I would recommend to someone else who would like to have that switch on 24/7 is study a craft as much as possible. Not even if you don't have a craft, study whatever it is, even if it's just healthy habits in life, anything like that. Just stay up on stuff that you're passionate about, because it's this mental game with yourself that you have to play. When if you know you've been up studying for 3 weeks straight and then the exam comes, you're not nervous when that exam comes. You're like, yo, I already know this. I just did it. You can do that same thing in life in general. You know what I mean? It's just about practice. It's about repetition, and also understanding yourself. So if you play that kind of mind game with yourself, saying that, yo, I've been prepared for this long, blah blah blah, cool. Once that opportunity comes, you're like, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, it depends. It depends on the person. How it works. And for me, I enjoy living in that fearful moment of, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this, and then I actually do it, and then that gratification after I do it is a million times better. That's why I think I'm addicted to it. You know what I mean? It's not healthy though.
That was such a beautiful breakdown of step one, step two, step three, the ways that you can step away from doubting yourself, feeling down about yourself. Uh, I personally needed to hear that. I feel like we had a personal conversation recently about, knowing what your passion is. And then you feel like, well, that's my passion, but I'm not where other people are in that same realm, in
Hmm.
that same category. Why am I not where those people are? Because I haven't done the work. So that all to me just starts to feel like, well, start doing the work, even if it's baby steps. I think that was great advice. Great advice. And then it just turns into like, well, make the time for it. This conversation rests on the concept of self worth. Self worth. This conversation rests upon
Worth.
the idea of self worth. Because I know I get caught up feeling like, I don't deserve to take time to myself. I don't deserve to take the time to be better. I gotta go do everything for everyone else. And that's where I get, my cousin was just talking to me about validation recently. That's where I get my validation, which is not the case. I can also validate myself because of the things that I've done for myself. So now we
Right.
rewind
Exactly.
and say, I deserve to go study what I want to study. I deserve to go train in the ways that I want to train, learn in the ways I want to learn. So,
Yeah, yeah. And keep in mind also, um, I deserve is different than I can.
mm,
It's a different
elaborate,
thing.
please.
It's a different thing. When you're looking at I can means that, okay, yes, I prepare for this. I have enough knowledge to do this, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? It's not the same as you deserve it, because you could very
Mm,
well think that you deserve it, but not be able to do it
wow.
and know that you can't do it, but you feel that you deserve it. So now you have to
Mm,
bridge that gap between I deserve and I can't. And once those two mesh together,
yeah.
that's what makes success. That's what makes achievement. That's what makes completing a task, whatever it
Mm,
is, anything that you have in mind. Because you can very well even be able to do something and not even think you deserve it.
right.
Absolutely. Hmm.
That just made me think of, I've talked to you before about Marty Woodard. Shout out to Marty Woodard. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody could just sit him on a throne and put a crown on his head and give him his phone to still do what he does for the
Word.
interwebs, like, ugh. It made me think of something he posted recently about what we're doing with our time, entrepreneurship, or just establishing yourself however you want to. It's
Hmm.
not all of this crazy, fancy, frilly stuff that you have to do. It's the free time where you have downtime, and then what are you doing with that? Are you wasting that time?
Exactly. I love the idea of reading, a page or two before bed. When you mentioned that, I'm like, man,
Yes.
that's a good idea. I should actually try that. And to
Because
see
the
how I feel.
reality is 7 minutes, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
12 minutes. That's the part that really starts to eat away at me. I look
Hmm.
at 24 hours. For some reason, this makes me think of Beyonce. I don't know why. I look at 24 hours because of that stupid phrase. Somebody said Beyonce got 24 hours in her day, too. So when I see that I could have taken
Okay.
7 minutes or 12
Okay.
minutes or 24 minutes out of a 24-hour day to do something, I'm like, wait, why didn't I? Why didn't I? That's the question.
Right. Exactly. It's about what are you doing with that free time. You know what I mean? Because most of the time we have enough time to do whatever it is that we want to do. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, I think I get into the habit of making my to-do list too long,
mm,
but
mm,
I do understand that. I actually do have enough time. Depends on what I'm doing. Like you said, with that extra 7 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever, you can do anything.
mhm. Amen. We can do this, everybody. We can do this.
We
Um,
can't do. Where is that from? We can't do this. I don't know.
you can
It's
do
a
it.
lot.
It's from like a Adam
What is
Sandler
that?
movie or something.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know which one. I don't think I ever saw it. I just think somebody else told me that.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it. So this has been, you know what? You're gonna take this compliment, okay? I wish, see, because we're not on StreamYard like we usually are, I can't remove you from the stream. Can I? Stop video.
No,
I
you
can
should be
stop
able to
your
kick me
video.
out the room.
I can put him in a waiting room. Listen, y'all. Wait, I wonder if he can still hear me. I don't even know. We'll find out when he comes back. Listen, this has been an extremely inspirational conversation. I know that you'll agree. We got to stop this imposter syndrome thing. It's got to go. I understand that people are trying to be humble, but at the same time, we can't deny how great all of the Mirage guests are, Cameron included. I wouldn't invite you if you weren't phenomenal. And if I didn't think that other people needed to hear about why you're phenomenal, how you became phenomenal. Anyway, listen, I know that you agree that this conversation was very motivating. I think motivating is the perfect word for what we've gotten from Cameron today. And I love that we chronologically spoke about why he's wired the way he's wired, as well as everything he's accomplishing. There's so many projects he's got going on. As a matter of fact, I think he mentioned to me the other day that he forgot to mention one project. He did. He wanted to elaborate on a project that he did when we were all on shutdown in 2020. So I guess I'll bring him back in to do that.
Couldn't hear anything.
Oh.
Hold up.
You
Wait a
didn't
minute.
hear anything. So when you're in the waiting room, you leave. That's not the same as your camera being off. So I should have went like this. Dang. And then I could have muted him so that he could have. All right. Wait, unmute yourself. Wait, start your video back up. I didn't know that I needed permission. Well, I'm glad that when this interview drops, there will be a whole portion that you know nothing about that I just spit to the people. You know what I'm saying?
No, I thought you did that on purpose too. You
No,
did, right?
because on StreamYard, no, I really didn't. I had you leave on purpose, yes, but on StreamYard, you can be backstage and see what's going on the stream. So I just said all
Yeah,
this
I have no
stuff.
idea what you were saying. I have no idea. I have no idea what's
That's
going on.
great. That's great.
And now it's
But
a traumatic experience. Just let you know.
don't be traumatized.
Now I don't know what's going to happen until Monday.
Well,
And
I
I'm
have to.
terrified.
It's small. As a matter of fact, you're about to get a little piece
No,
of
that
it
was
right
like
now.
2 minutes, yo. It felt like,
Yo, it was
you know
longer
how
than
when
I
you waiting for something? Oh my God, 20 seconds is like 2 minutes. I'm telling you. I was like, yo, she really saying a lot.
thought. Listen, but I gotta
Stupid.
loop you back into it because here's how I ended. I was talking about the interview as a whole. And then I said, as a matter of fact, there is something that he wanted to make sure he mentioned. He was talking about all the projects that you're a part of and the things that you've accomplished. Can you let us know about the project that you did while the world was shut down? Because I know that was something you wanted to make sure you mentioned.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Creativity Stays Home was a passion project during the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
where I just wanted to see what other musicians and music artists are doing to, keep their morale up, to, keep creating, doing whatever it is. So, I hit the Instagram DMs hard. Like every person that I
You
got in that
asked
film,
all of the questions.
yes, I asked, man, I think I asked probably a little over 30 people, and we ended up securing 14 for the
Wow,
final cut of the
that's a
film.
lot.
I sent a lot of DMs. I talked to managers, I talked to artists, I talked to a lot of people.
Wow.
Um, but it started with reaching out to the artists that I actually listened to and admired. So, and a lot of the relationships that I have now, as far as even projects that's going on, friendships and stuff like that,
Mm,
are ones that were built from that project alone. So, Luke O'Brien, that was the first time I met Luke, was on that film during the pandemic.
awesome.
Julian King was another one. That was my first time meeting him. Chill Moody, that was another one. Soraya, I came across Soraya a few times just at live, shows and stuff like that, but we never spoken. That was the first time I was like really in contact with her. So yeah, it was a lot of relationships built off of that project, and then we sent it to film festivals, and we actually won. I think we won 3 film festival awards for
Are
that
you
project
serious?
last year. Yeah, yeah, it
I
was
did
cool. That was
not
my
know
first time
that.
doing it. Yeah, that was my first time. That was literally my first. Yeah, that was before I put out Reasons in Disguise. So that was my
Mm,
first time actually making a film and sending it somewhere to be watched by other people. So we were in
beautiful.
a UK film festival. We were in a film festival in San Francisco, and then another one in California somewhere.
That's so
Um,
awesome.
then maybe 2 more besides that.
And
But
then you ended up
yeah,
winning
that was just a great
awards.
project.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really special because we didn't know. Obviously, we filmed it. Everybody had to film it on their own, and
Hmm.
that was just the complications of being smack dab in the middle
Yeah,
of the pandemic. This is when nobody even really knew what COVID was. Just knew
right.
that thousand people were still dying. So, and I
Mm,
believe it's around the time my grandfather had just passed from COVID as well. I think it was that same month that we put that out.
mm,
Um, and yeah, it was amazing because we didn't know what the artist would send back. We didn't know what their story would be.
right.
So it was a few of them that said I haven't been able to create anything for a
Yeah.
couple months. Another one said they had COVID and they were just recovering.
Jeez.
Luke had just had his baby at the time and he was struggling with the idea that his family couldn't meet his
Pandemic, baby.
newborn. Yeah, it was
Wow.
very special. It was very special. So I encourage everyone to go watch it. Just go to YouTube, search Creativity Stays Home. It's right there.
So, speaking of reasons in disguise, speaking of creativity stays home, speaking of the fact that you have so much more purpose to all of these projects than just highlighting an artist and their music. Tell me about the internship idea that you had recently and how that's going to come into play in the future.
Season 3, we're rolling out an internship program with Stoop Sound Sessions, and that's the opportunity for two children neighborhood to come and shadow us for a day on set while we film. We're going to partner with the school district and schools and neighborhoods. So as we travel to shoot these episodes, we will be in different neighborhoods. We really want to do some community outreach and really be in touch with everyone that we're surrounded by. You know what I mean? Because
Mm,
like I said, there's always a purpose behind everything that we do. And Stu Sound Session is not just a video series, it's an inspiration, it's a movement, it's a community of people. And now that community has grown from the first episode, it just being me and Luke and his neighbors, on his block, to I think now we're up to about 12 artists that we've had just come across our steps, you know what I mean? And with that community, there's an opportunity to actually, teach the coming generation. And that was inspired by 2 kids in the neighborhood while we were shooting season 2. And shout out to Julius, and I don't remember the other kid's name, but shout out to them as well. That first night that we started shooting, I just noticed that they were sitting on the side and just watching and staring in
mm,
amazement. And we were filming Julian King, by the way, and they were just amazed at that entire performance. They were sitting there watching, and then at some point, I needed extra help holding the backdrop, and I called one of them over, and they were just down. They were like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll
yeah.
hold this," and they literally stood I think it was during the interview portion of the episode, they stood and held that backdrop for at least 20 minutes straight, like
Yeah.
just
Probably
on
more.
their own. Yeah, probably more than that because we had to do cuts and all this type of stuff.
You remember when we forgot that they were back there? We're like, oh snap, Julius, you all right? He's like,
Yeah. Right, right. It started getting cold. It was like, but they were just super excited to be there. And then, we all went home and we came back the next day to shoot. And guess who did? The same two kids. They came back. And it was a beautiful Saturday afternoon too.
Yeah.
And they came back, all the kids in the block, they were outside playing. They weren't even playing with the kids. They were over there with us. They were talking to the artists.
So
They were helping
powerful.
out on set. And it was just such a beautiful moment. And just thinking about what if I would have seen something like that
Yes.
when I was their age, because I had never seen anything like that until, I started doing it myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's just the opportunity to expose more, more kids to that and see what they can become and what they can do.
Yeah.
And in turn, that's also a big opportunity for us as adults that are making this project to see that while we can be an example for, you know what I mean? Because we all come from different backgrounds. And
Yeah.
I think that helps us feel better about what we're doing. So I'm super excited to make this program happen. And like I said, it's bigger than just performance videos or anything like that. It's a movement. So I'm excited.
So much bigger than just performance videos, and a great way to intersect Stoop Sound sessions with your work with Julian King and church right now. From my perspective, y'all, I was really taken back. I mean, I was thinking about this for days. I think I told you that, but this was on my mind. Julian King's episode will air soon. So everybody, again, please go follow Stoop Sounds _ Philly.
Yep.
On Instagram and look out for Julian King's work. Here's what I want to say. Cameron Rogers, Julian King, there's a very special work that you guys are doing. Chill Moody with Nice Things. It's a special type of work. Cage Bird with her speaking of spirituality and not being caged in. Special type of work. Sarai Nicole encouraging people to make sure that they're in tune with God, with the Creator, walking in their purpose. Such special work that's happening here. And I'm about to give you a compliment that you're going to hate, but like you brought those people under one communal umbrella and roof. So that says a lot about you and your spirit. But anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The two young boys that were there the entire time we were filming Julian King's episode, Julian performed a song. And while I don't want to give anything away, we don't know about release dates or anything like that, but just know that the lyrics within this song say, some boys aren't blue. Not all boys are blue. To know that two young boys, neither of them were older than maybe 11, 12.
Yeah.
To know that there's an artist like Julian that is doing the work, that is being transparent, that is singing powerfully about this concept of you don't have to be blue. Whoever you truly are, just be that. Just be your true self. There could be a work that song, that performance that Julian King does for those two young boys that changes the course of their lives forever, because they were able to see another young man in these lights with this microphone singing this particular song. That type of encouragement, like they truly may never, ever, ever forget that for the rest of their lives. He did not just go out there and sing about any old thing. And then they came back and hung out the next day, the entire day. They were talking to every single artist. They were so sweet.
Yeah.
These weren't bad kids by any means. Like they were in it to win it. And that's because of the energy that we put forth in creating a purposeful project.
Exactly.
So with that being said about Julian King's episode, tell me about what Il Joint Studios is doing for Julian King right now and what impact that's having on viewers.
I'm directing and producing the series for Julian King called Church, and he came to me with this idea a while back about having these conversations with people in his life about his role in the LGBTQ community and being a Black gay man and what his experience was like coming out to these specific people and what their reaction was and what their thoughts are about his community and how he can help them better understand the LGBTQ community. And this is just an intimate conversation. And when he told me about it, I was like, dude, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, you mean you're gonna have your mom on a camera,
your grandparents
talking about
on camera.
this, your grandparents on camera, your dad on camera, your other siblings who are also part of the LGBTQ community on camera talking about this very moment, what their thoughts were when you came out, and then what that experience has been like since then, and how your relationship has developed and what
Wow.
effect that has on you. I was like, bro, that's so powerful. And I said yes immediately. Obviously, that was a no brainer.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the idea of what Ojo Studios is. And like I said, everything that I want to do is about making an impact and understanding what this series means to him, but also what it means to the LGBTQ community was something that you just have to stand by and appreciate and admire. That takes a lot of courage. It was a learning lesson for myself as well, because there were certain things that I did not know about the LGBTQ community. There were
Yeah.
certain things that I never experienced. I don't know what it's like to feel like you are enclosed, to feel like you're closeted and can't be your true self.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know what that experience is like, to have that fear of telling your
Mm.
parents, hey, I'm gay, hey, I'm bisexual, hey, I'm this, I'm that. I don't know what that experience is like.
Right.
So I don't, as a result, I don't fully understand, the LGBTQ community
Right.
the way that I should, in a way that we all should, in that way. So for that to come across, my table, and something that he trusted me with making and collaborating on, I was super honored. And that experience, just filming it, was very, very special. And also shout out to Kenny Wooten
Mhm.
as well. I brought Kenny on board, and we shot some episodes within 2 days. And and to be honest, some of the conversations did get, you know intense. There were some heavy conversations going on,
I can imagine.
especially with his grandparents, which you'll see this episode with his grandparents on the 30th when that releases. His grandparents being, church folks, and his father being a very well known and famous pastor. You can only imagine what that conversation was like between religion and sexuality and identity. And it was amazing. I'm honored to stand behind that, what I mean, and support my brother and what he's doing.
I'm honored to know you. I'm sure he feels honored to be connected with you as a filmmaker and an ally.
Yes, absolutely.
I couldn't help
Absolutely.
but think, the very, very, very heartbreaking reality is that there are some filmmakers that would not have taken that project on.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Heartbreaking. It's the truth, though. It sounds so surreal to people like you and I who are so ready to understand and support and amplify these voices. I
Hmm.
can't believe that there are still people in this world that operate in the opposite
Yeah, yeah,
manner.
absolutely. And I mean, I can honestly say that if something like this was brought to me maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there might have been a chance I would have turned it down. I'm not going
Wow.
to sit here and act like
Yeah.
I've been the same person,
Right.
that I am now. You know what I mean? That comes with experience and just life and meeting people and
Yeah.
getting to know just some beautiful people. You know what I mean? So I think that the timing of it was right. I don't think Cam from 2018 was deserving of this opportunity.
Mm,
You know what I
mm,
mean? Going back to deserving things, and
yeah.
um, but I think this timing in the year that it's happening was meant to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That was really
proud of
deep,
that.
Cam. Thank you for your transparency with that. That was
I'll be
very
being
honest
deep for
of
no
you.
reason. I don't know why
For all the
I just be
reasons.
I just be going deep for no reason.
This is one of the reasons why we are such good friends. Because no, that was really beautiful and just so honest of you. And to that, I want to say, growth. Allow people the chance to grow.
Mhm.
Do not shut people out. Yes, you have to form certain judgments in order to understand where people should be placed in your life. But, don't completely shut someone out that just needs the chance and the opportunity to grow. And that's what I hear when you're explaining what the church series is doing, what the church series is about. Julian is not shutting out and cutting off these relationships with his family members that may not understand him. He's playing an active role in creating the opportunity for learning and growth and understanding. That's huge. And now you
Yeah,
play
yeah,
a huge role
absolutely.
in that too. Yo, man, like, what did I do to say that, like, I can call you a friend? This is crazy. This is beautiful. There's
Yeah.
so many things we could wrap by saying. There's so many great points that were made here within this conversation today. And one of them is that if you need videography and cinematography done, any filmmaking of any sort, you need to hit this man up right here. That's
Absolutely.
one of the
Artist
major
development,
points that need to be made.
artist management, social media management.
Amen.
I got it all right here. Yep.
One of the most influential things that you've said to me and uplifting me in the past has been to walk in my purpose. And I think anybody who listens to this interview, watches this interview, needs to hear that. There's a lot to be taken away from today's conversation. But I'd like to wrap it with a bow with you telling us to walk in our purpose.
That's an ugly bow. I'm just letting you know. That drawing was probably lopsided. Yeah, that drawing was a little tiny ball. But yeah, anyway, it's not the prettiest bow, but it's gonna be a bow. Yeah, we working.
At least their bow is there. Be grateful they even got a bow.
Right, we're deserving of a bow.
Could just be a plain ass box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, you're thoughtful. I appreciate it.
Walking in your purpose. Tie it all together. Tie it all together. You can make
every
the
day.
time.
Every day, make the time. Understand why you're here. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you don't have to know what your purpose is yet. It changes also. You know, your purpose could be one thing one day, 10 years later it could be different, you know. But live every day intentionally with that idea in your head that you're here for a reason and you want to fulfill that purpose. You know, you have a job to do while you're here. So live every day just doing that. And that's what has encouraged me to be motivated. As even creative people, to any artists out there, anything like that, your creation is special. It's meant to be here. It's meant to be on this earth. And it's going to touch people and it's going to inspire people.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
A lot has been said that I needed to hear. I know a lot has been said that plenty of others needed to hear. Thank you, Mirage family, for tuning in, for listening, for watching.
Thank you.
You're so dope. Yeah, we did it. We did it. Like when we had our first phone call, I did not know that was going to branch and blossom off into one of my favorite friendships ever, ever, ever. I'm really grateful for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an honor to have you as a friend and a supporter. Like, it's really helped me through this last couple of months. So I appreciate you.